Alrighty fanboys and fangirls, while the Sony event was going on and I talked all about the Sony Xperia, right literally next door to it was Google with their Google I/O event. And of course with Google I/O they released the Google Pixel 6a, the Pixel Watch, and a brand new pair of Pixel Buds. So I'm going to kind of recap that whole thing starting with the Pixel 6a, and I'm going to be honest, I was kind of underwhelmed. And not in a bad way, but kind of in a shocking way. But there are a ton of positives, so we'll discuss all about that in today's episode. So let's not waste any time, cue the intro. So Google I/O basically wrapped up, and with all the news of Android 13 and other things coming out, it only made sense for them to reveal their ever-growing lineup of products. However, this time Google finally announced the products that we have all been waiting for. We got a brand new Pixel 6a, which is to be expected. We finally get to see the watch, which we'll get to in this video. And of course, the first thing I'm going to talk about, just to get it out of the way, the brand new Pixel Bud Pro. Now, if you know anything about me, I have been growing my library of reviews. I have been trying to build my credibility as a headphone reviewer or a reviewer in general. And I'm promising you guys right now, I am currently wrapping up my little mini series that I did for Soundcore. Once I wrap that series up, I am going into every other headphone from every other brand, and I'm starting with Google because these Pixel Bud Pros look awesome. They are basically a beefed up and souped up version of something we've already known, but with a better form factor. Now, there are 3 different Pixel Buds available from Google. You have the Google Pixel Bud A series, you have the Pixel Buds, some people say that got discontinued, but I don't see that being the case, and now you have the Pixel Buds Pro. Essentially, the Pixel Bud Pros have a bigger battery life at 11 hours, which is incredible if you think about it. It has active noise canceling and is touting a new sound system. Now, of course, we won't know exactly until it arrives, so once I get all 3 of the Pixel Buds, I'm going to review them in one shot. I will make a mini series out of that, and then we can really go into detail about that. But anyway, let's move on over to the Pixel 6a. Now, talking about the Pixel 6a, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I covered this phone before. It looked very promising from the reports to the specs, everything. It looked awesome. And when we got the phone, and after watching the event on replay, as I said at the beginning of the video, I felt kind of underwhelmed, but not in a bad way. So for starters, maybe one of the first reasons that I feel this way, in my opinion, is I just kind of thought it felt like it was a slight downgrade. Now, of course, you're not going to hear that from the hashtag Team Pixel members, which is realistically just a bunch of people that A, probably are friends with people that are friends that are in Team Pixel that got them in, or B, is just a bunch of yes men. Nah, I'm just playing, there's no yes men. But in all seriousness, you really won't hear this criticism unless there are some fair YouTube reviews, but I'm not calling out anybody in particular. I'm just saying it is what it is. But anyway, taking a look at the Pixel 6a, I, for one, felt that the first downgrade was they lowered the battery. So the Pixel 5a had a 4,680 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty respectable. The Pixel 6a comes with 4,400. Now on paper that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trying to go for a full all-day battery life, lowering it doesn't really make the most sense. Now some people, they did say that it still can last a full day, and also claiming that you can go 3 days of extreme use with extreme battery saving mode. But I don't expect it to, because again, it's slightly lower, and based on real day-to-day use, we have to wait and see how it will perform. Now, it does go on sale in July, so reviews will be out soon. But the second thing that felt like a little downgrade to me was the whole presentation. For me, I felt that the Pixel 6a, that Google finally embraced it as a mid-range. Where the Pixel 4a and the 5a felt like a premium mid-range, this one kind of took a backseat and said, nah, we're gonna kind of go that full mid-range mode. I'm not saying it's a terrible device. I haven't even begun on the positives. But to me, the presentation from Google I/O, just made me think that it was more of a mid-range, like the Samsung A series, than it being an extension of the Google Pixel series. On top of that, they removed the headphone jack. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, oh, the headphone jack isn't a big deal, nobody uses it. I tend to disagree, because when I had the Pixel 3a or 4a, Steamable Tech, thank you for hitting me up with that, I used the headphone jack almost all the time. I loved it, I had a great time with it, and I know a lot of people loved it. So I don't know. And the last thing, one of the things that, for me anyway, again, this is just my opinion, I think the biggest thing that really shocked me the most and probably underwhelmed me was the camera setup. It was okay, but it was really less robust than I thought it was going to be. Now, I had no intention of thinking it was going to be better than the Pixel 6 or the 6 Pro, but it left me feeling like they really did make this a mid-range phone. They really kind of took the flagship-like qualities and kind of said goodbye to them. Now again, that's just what I felt. But now taking a look at the phone itself, there are still a lot of positives and some saving graces that do make this phone a worthy contender. For starters, Google put the Tensor chip in this phone, so you're going to get flagship performance. So that's a huge positive right in on itself. So it keeps the phone in the discussion of title contendency when you're looking for a mid-range. Number two, the price is still relatively cheap. It's $449. It went up by 50 bucks. You guys realize the iPhone SE with 5G is $429. For $20 more, you are getting a better phone. Granted, it's not iOS, but you're getting literally the base model of a Pixel phone with good software optimization and hardware from Google. You're also getting good camera technology with camera optimization. And most importantly, you're getting a product that ultimately can do more than any product in that mid-range caliber. So there are still a lot of positives in here. The next thing that I thought was a real positive, in my opinion anyway, I thought that even though the display, they're touting it's a G-OLED or something like that, it's still a pretty decent display. It's not exactly an OLED display like everybody's saying, but we'll have to wait and see when the specs come out. And lastly, to round it all off, the Pixel 6a just seems to get the job done. However, as I've said before, there are my negatives that I just felt, it felt kind of underwhelming, and I was kind of saddened by it because I really thought Google was going to continue this parade of making it more flagship-like. I obviously know a mid-range has to stay in its lane, and I understand Google wants to make it good, and it's probably a good device, but I left watching that event feeling, yeah, you know, it doesn't feel as good as last year's. But that's just my opinion. I'm not saying this for everybody. This is just my thoughts. I do think it's a good device. I think it's gonna sell well for $449. I don't see no complaints. And honestly, it's a Pixel. You know what you're getting into with the A series, but I just feel like they went full mid-range with this one and took away some of those flagship-like features. But that's just my opinion. Now, the good news is we do get some flagship features like an in-display fingerprint scanner, although they are using a different version of that, but still, you get a nice display, you do get some gooder features, but taking away the headphone jack, lowering the battery, and making it just not feel like how it used to feel, just left me feeling going, it's okay. But hey, I guess the Pixel Watch can make up for it, right? Okay, before anybody gets mad, this is not me really being serious. I am actually, for one, very excited about this watch. I think that this watch looks awesome. I think that it's a good watch, but I gotta be honest. Come on, Google, you had 3 years of research and development. You're telling me in those 3 years you couldn't tear a tiny page out of Samsung's book in terms of the design? Like, this thing kind of looks exactly like what I thought it looked. It looks chunky, the bezels are thick, and granted, I'm not gonna say anything until I see it, but it looks like it's made out of plastic. Now, I probably assume Google did this intentionally to make it recognizable, to make it stand out, saying that this is the Pixel Watch. But again, I'm gonna have to hold my judgment on this one until I see the Pixel Watch. But man, damn. And that's it for today's episode of Technoid. Now guys, I probably pissed a lot of Android fans off, and honestly, I've treaded this water before, so I'm not really afraid of what's to come next. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, you can hit the dislike button. That helps circulate my views as well. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next episode. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Take care, stay safe, have a good day, and peace.